This is Courtney, the Disney darling, and I just wanted to make a quick video giving my advice about the phone interview. Now, I know it's a little late in the game, but I've been having a lot of extra time on my hands lately, now that it's getting closer to the day that I move away. So I thought it was about time that I get these videos that I've been wanting to make out of the way. So here are my tips for doing the phone interview. Tip number 1, research online. Get on the Disney College Program's blog and read what they have to say about the phone interview. They have tons of help. That's where I got most of mine. And if you have any questions, there's a guy on there. You can just type your comments at the bottom and he gets to answer them within the week. Sometimes people, well, most of the time, people will make a Facebook group for all of those people who are wanting to do the program. It's a great way to see what's happening in the group, but try not to get too addicted or to rely on it too much, because I did that. It was bad. I had to cut myself off. So definitely try to just get on there and see what's been happening. I had to wait for my phone interview, but the Facebook page helped me a lot because a lot of people who applied the first day went through and did everything. They went online and found old questions, but then when the interview came, they had new questions. So they weren't prepared, and that could have cost them getting into the program. So it's a good idea to check on Facebook, see what's happening with the other interviews so that you can better help yourself. My second tip is to Google mock questions. Now this application period, the questions were different as they have been in past. In the past, the most popular question was, why do you want to do the program? Now they ask you, how will the program help you professionally? One of the biggest tips that I stumbled across is to not say that you want to go to Disney because you love Disney and you've always dreamed of living in Disney. Like, no. They're not looking for people who do that, because if they're looking for that, you can easily just go to Disney and work in Disney and live in Orlando. They're looking for people who want to do the college program. How is that program going to help you? Tip number 3, my third tip is type up all of those questions. I didn't type up the questions. I copy and pasted them from online and put them in a Word document, and I went through every single question and I thought about each individual question and I typed up what my answer would be, what I wanted to say, some key points that I wanted to talk about. Once I typed them up, I actually printed them out and read them over, kind of reviewed them. I actually ended up taping them to my desk and referring to them later, and I also wrote notes on it. So as I was doing it, I would write the different things she was saying, and it really helps me to have that paper on my desk. Though I didn't word for word read it, I did highlight some things, so when I looked down I was like, yes, I wanted to say this. It helped a lot. Tip number 4 is to speak your answers out loud. Because just because you went through and you typed up all those answers and you printed them out doesn't mean that when the time comes for you to pick up that phone and say that answer, you might choke up, you might get nervous because you've never actually practiced speaking it. Alright, tip number 5 is my absolute favorite one. It's a mock interview. I'm telling you, it's the key. I saw online some people had gotten their parents to call them and all. I swear it works. Me and my best friend Marissa, we were going through the whole application process together. She had her interview about a week and a half before me. So when she had her interview, I found mock questions. I found questions online. I emailed those questions to her, and then I gave her some time and I called her and I asked her the question. You can get the best advice from those people that are closest to you. So get your mom, your friend, anybody really, but actually call them. Don't do it face to face. Actually get them to call you. That's the best thing, really. So my final tip, I guess that's tip number 6, is to think about some other things. When I was preparing for my interview, I did most of my preparation before I even knew I had got my phone interview. I was doing lots of reading online. I would read this and do that. And then when I finally got my phone interview email, I scheduled my phone interview for 2 days later. So literally the day of, I blocked out that whole night. 4 hours before my interview, I I asked my roommate to leave the room for that night. I asked everyone on my hallway to be quiet. I just kind of was me time for that night. So I sat down at my laptop and I got those mock questions and I answered them all. I answered them all that night too. And I read through them. I got some of my friends next door to come in and, ask them to me so I could speak out loud. I typed them up, everything, printed them out, taped them to my desk. And this was the best part, I think, for me. I stopped. I took a break. I took a shower. I felt amazing. But a lot of people you find, they'll say like, oh, dress as if you're actually going to an interview. If that makes you feel more confident, if that makes you feel better, by all means do it. But me, I was in this mood to just get comfortable. So I took my shower. I felt amazing. I kind of pampered myself for the night. Put on my sweatpants and a Mickey t-shirt. I was like, there we go. That's my business casual for the night. And after I took that shower and everything, I kind of reviewed my questions again. Then I put on Finding Nemo and just watched Finding Nemo for the night. About an hour before my friend, well, actually maybe even 30 minutes. No, not 30 minutes, no. An hour before, Marissa called me. We went through my whole mock interview. She gave me some last minute tips that she had heard from somebody else. I really wanted concierge going through the whole thing. I wanted concierge or character attendant. So I had geared a lot of my questions. I guess this is another tip. My answers, you can't outright say, well, I guess you can, but most of the time you really don't want to outright say, I want this. Because they want people who are flexible. They want people who are open to many jobs. So I went in knowing what I wanted, and I kind of I aimed my answers towards those jobs. Really, they call and they can talk to you about any questions. Any job. I only put down no interest in 3 jobs. So there are a lot of jobs that they could have asked me questions about. And they just pick questions based on your application and your web-based interview. They pick questions about jobs that they think you might be good for. So you really don't know what you're going to get. And just because they ask questions about a certain role doesn't mean that you won't get a different one. I got questions about character attendant and hospitality and a little bit of merchandise. So I was excited after my phone interview. I had Marissa call me and do my mock interview and watched Nemo until I got that magical call. So here are my last minute tips. Well, last minute little snippets about the phone interview. A, they can call from anywhere from 15 minutes before your scheduled time to 15 minutes afterwards. My call literally came at my call was first scheduled for 9, and came at 9:01. So they tend to run on time, but sometimes you can get it 15 minutes before. You never really know. So be prepared. Tip number 2, stay open-minded, stay positive. They are looking for positivity. They're looking for flexibility. They want people who are excited to work for Disney. Just be, prepared to answer whatever they throw at you. Yeah. A couple of questions that you are probably guaranteed to see are the following. They're going to ask you about money. They're going to ask you maybe experience that you've had handling money. They always start out with roommate questions. So really they're just going to ask you some experience that you've had with roommates, if you've lived with some before, and even if you haven't, that doesn't mean that it's bad. Just say, no, I haven't, but I'm open to the experience, because you are going to have a roommate, and that is okay. Roommates are awesome, so be open to that experience. I'm going to give you a general outline about what the interview is going to look like. They're going to start out with your questions about just general questions. Is this a good time? Okay, awesome. They're going to ask you questions about your roommates, your roommate experiences, stuff like that, living with other people, different experiences. The second section, they're going to ask you about your previous job experience, what you put on your application. They might ask you a couple questions. Me, I put down that I'm conversational in Spanish, so she asked about that, gave me some information about taking the test to get the special ID that says I speak a language. She will ask you about character auditions, maybe if you're interested. She might ask you if you're going or not, different things like that. And then once she's done asking you about your previous experience, she's going to ask you about a couple of situational questions and specific questions regarding to your role. I got asked a character attendant question. I heard one, what would you do if a child asked you how Mickey could get from one place to another so quickly? And then the one I got actually was, how would you help a child who was scared? How would you help them approach a character? I also got a character performer question. Really, once you start thinking in the Disney mindset, it gets easier to answer your questions. So that one I was kind of prepared for, having thought about character attending questions. And then I got asked a bunch of hospitality ones, like how would you make a person feel at home, or what would you expect if you were a person staying in a Disney resort, what would you expect? So that one made me excited, and I was very prepared for that answer. So that was really awesome. But that's about the outline that you're going to be looking at for your interview, and then at the end that person will ask you if you have any questions. And another tip, ask a question. Ask 2 questions. I asked 3. So really, don't be afraid to ask questions. They love questions. But before I asked my questions, I said, I have 3 questions. Would that be all right? Is that okay? Do I have enough time? She's like, of course, go. So we ended up talking about that. The interviews run about 20 minutes. That's what they're going to tell you at the beginning. Really, they could fluctuate anywhere up to 40 minutes. Very few people have had ones that long, but it can happen. And anywhere less. And just because you have a short interview doesn't mean that that's bad. That actually sometimes can be a good sign that you had concise answers, straight to the point. They got what they needed, and they were like, okay, thank you. My interview was 38 minutes long, only because I had 3 questions at the end, and we talked for a very long time on each question. I had a wonderful experience with my phone interview. It was the best part of the whole application process. So really look forward to it. It almost was like a reward for all the waiting that I had done. I finally got my phone interview. I had a blast. And also remember, the people that are calling you for their phone interview, they work for Walt Disney World. Like, they're the happiest people working for the happiest place on earth. So don't be scared. Their job is to make you feel comfortable. So remember that, don't think of it as a nerve-wracking experience. Just enjoy it. Most people find, though, that once you get past that nerves of like, oh, holy crap, I see this unknown number from Florida on my phone, oh my gosh, I'm freaking out. Once they answer and they hear that person on the other side of the line, it gets a lot easier, I promise. So those are my tips. I really enjoyed my phone interview. So my best advice is to enjoy it. Really take your time and think your answers through, and remember to stay open-minded, because they love that. They want flexibility, they want open-mindedness, and they want cheery people. So, smile. Smile while you're talking on the phone. So, that's my help for you guys, and I hope people in the future are watching this and enjoy my tips. But yeah, y'all hear from me soon about what's happening in my life right now. But yeah.